I'm about to share with you a comprehensive guide to discovering sound theological resources for women. I hear it over and over again. Women are fed up with fluff. If I hear another women's conference message telling me that my biggest problem in life is I just need to be more emotionally authentic, I might scream. Every now and then I'll hear the question from pastors or ministry leaders or women in the church asking what resources are out there specifically for women to study theological issues. Whether it's biblical interpretation, Old and New Testament, systematic theology, ethics, applied theology, what books could they recommend to women? Well, look no further. All your questions are about to be answered. Are you ready? It's the same books you would recommend to men. You're welcome. Now, there are many works written by women, both for Christian discipleship. I think of authors like Nancy DeMoss Wolgemuth and Jen Wilkin and Trillia Newbell. And then there are women who are writing academic and scholarly works like Sandra Glann and Nancy Pearcey and Sister Prudence Allen and Alice von Hildebrand. But where do we get this idea that women only need to read theological resources written by women to a female audience? And why do so many women shy away from studying theology and engaging in deep theological conversations? I think it comes down to three common myths. Myth 1. Theology is dry, boring, and separate from my spiritual growth. One of my favorite moments as a teacher was at the end of a class on Christian doctrine for our student wives. And this lovely young woman shared how after taking the class, she found that she was kind of bored with the women's devotional books that she was reading and just wanted to study the Word. Her husband, a pastor, even said how the questions and discussions that she was coming home engaging in challenged him and sharpened him in his own life and ministry. Myth 2. Theology is inaccessible and disconnected from my life. You need to know your voice and gifts matter to the church. They matter to the kingdom. So why wouldn't you invest in them with the same level of rigor and discipline that you give to your education or your business or your family or any other priority? Why wouldn't you learn to leverage them according to God's purpose and design? You do theology every time you are reading your Bible and drawing a conclusion. You have a theology of suffering that guides you through the tough times in your life. You have a theology of humanity that informs everything from racial issues and gender issues to abortion and assisted suicide. You have a theology of sin that frames how you process concepts in our society and how we are to fix them. You even have a theology of the kingdom to sift through all these political arguments among believers. You have a theology. The question is it sound? And what are you grounding it upon? Myth 3. Theology is for ministry professionals. I wonder if this one is because we're often so focused on what we would do that we miss who we're created to be. And I think a lot of women make this mistake in approaching theological study. Because we aren't sure what we might do vocationally, we question whether it's a worthwhile endeavor. Now, it's true. Certain responsibilities in the church belong to qualified men. But it's also true that if you are a believer, you are a minister who is called to study. Maybe the message that it wasn't important for you came from someone else. Maybe you asked a question and the response that you got made you feel kind of dumb, so you didn't really want to ask any more questions. Maybe someone discouraged you from trying. In case you haven't heard it lately, you are an equal image bearer of God Himself, and your mind is worth the investment in theological education in all its depth, whether that's a seminary class or a church small group. And the reason for that is that you are called to love the Lord your God with all your mind. And that has nothing to do with a title or position in your church. You know where I got all that? Go get yourself a systematic theology. Study soteriology, anthropology, ecclesiology, all the ologies. Go take a few classes at an evangelical seminary. Shameless plug, I just so happen to teach at a pretty awesome one. Listen to doctrinally sound podcasts that make you think. Discuss what you're learning with friends. If you're wondering where to begin, check out a few of my favorites in the description and tell me some of yours in the comments. Whoever you are and wherever you are, just start.